Pretty sure most of these guns are Bastards parodies, but whatever, eh? Let's see what we have to work with. For the newcomers here, know that I'll never play mobile or crappy pay-to-win games on stream as a matter of principle, so I quickly recorded some footage for me to talk about here. That fap about with some emulator linking my phone and some other bullocks here. And I just need to add as well, though I'm pretty sure night weapons are actually just built to resemble normal weapons to further reinforce the self-conscious thing. And kinds of class-wise, I never was the demo spec or in the more specialized explosive type. So most of man-pads, RPGs, bazookas, grenade launchers are gonna be guesses off the top of my head. As well as the rest, the obviously fiction, pilgrim, and gostlers and 40k weapons. On top of the modifications, the scopes, the guards, and various other furniture swaps to make IDing them even harder. As much as I wish to play a game of show and tell with the arrow camp parts, don't work for a royal armor museum, or I'm wealthy enough to hoard a collection much as I wish to, so all knowledge will be based on memories and a little Googling if necessary, so I guess you could say this whole entire segment will be a little source to trust me, bro. Okay, let's just jump ahead now then to Emma. This looks like the LMG you often see on the F-Series jets, which I think was called the M134 minigun, as you can tell by the drum and the 6 barrels. Next is a lovable and one of my favorites, because it's in their Miku look-alike, Privity, with what appears at a glance to be the STM-9, which is a 9x19 civilian rifle. There's a shooting range here, and yeah, pretty much bang on. Alright, and for signal. With her, I can already tell, without even need to fire it, that that's an HK MP5, or more specifically, the MP5 Kurtz, short, with no stock, and its signature fixed ring front sight that the MP5 primarily is known for. Now for a Kappa, NIKKE, is what I think is if I could find, is the TriStar Compact Bullpup 12G, judging by the flat Picatinny rail and the large fixed stock. It's quite fancy tech for a copter using, but hey, it's the future, and maybe kinds that they're actually some like private police company rather than state police here. And now for another copper, but this time with the Lone Wolf G9 as well. If I was not familiar with this type of weapon, but it's the one that closest like one I could find that resembles it, judging by the possible extended Glock 17 mag and how pointing outwards rather than inwards here. And now for the breast, I mean mess waifu for uh workaholic anonymous club. Yeah, used the exact same guns before, since this one's a longer barrel. It could be the AR-19, judging by the rear-facing mag and the M-lock receiver, so it's pretty much just an AR rifle, but for pistol caliber weaponry. Next is a pistol volley, which the weapon I'm less familiar with, those secondary systems. But could add that it really brings back Hidden no Aria vibes, mostly because I miss that so much and want to stick already. Damn it, there's so much content. Anyway, pistols were more like pilot and cop domains. I only ever trained with standard issue stuff when I was in service, so I'll guess modified Glock 18 since they're the only pistols I know with the flatted top and slight rear inset with the full auto. Yeah. And these at first glance appears to be an RPK just because she's also an LMG and then it has the insane banana mag and also the shape of the receiver. But I vaguely remember there's some like AR like the airline that's not the RPK, but it's sorry, AK variant. Which looks like it, but it has some like weird designation name that I just can't think of right now. I have to be a very specific search for. Okay, moving on then. Finally, a bazooka to expose my lack of knowledge on explosives here. I'm familiar with the end cap of that thing, but honestly, because of the many other demolition bazookas, I'm pretty sure this one's a Carl Gustavo, since it has that distinctive carry hand and the flared hand. Interesting note is that since it's on our left shoulder, this means that Vest is a left-hand dominant shooter, which is a first, because they're usually taught to use your dominant hand to hold it up, and then your less dominant hand to guide it instead. And next is everyone's favorite and only four-head Feminine Queen with what can be seen at a glance to be a 22 long rifle with the internal mag. Let's head into the range here. You see it by reload, that's how you can tell. I don't know enough about these type weapons. I think that these are mostly civilian grandfathered or like hunting rifles. So naturally, I don't really see it much in service in the theaters. My guess is it's the SV98. That's the only sniper I know that has a bolt action integrated trigger. I must add though that with the scope that far in front, she has a really small sight window and comfortable cheek rest as the pad is too far back, and also she needs to rest her head on gunmetal to get a conventional picture. Usually you only do this if you're like a CQC and so you want as large as a eye window so you wouldn't be closing one eye to shoot. You have both eyes open and then so you just sort of use the scope to guide your shot to work pretty much like a laser. And now we come to one of my favorite waifus, the Chuni Official, with another rifle that was assigned my trade and featurized to boot. Dark feed, RPM, acceleration, LMP, all that magic stuff. This is probably an Ultimax 100, but with a 200 round box mag. And now for Maiden, who strangely appealing, I feel like I probably want her in my collection. But we'll see how Gacha treats you. You know how it is? Judging by the single barrel Picatinny rounds and extremely unrealistic front tube, it's probably some sort of tactical semi-auto shotgun. Probably an edgier version of the Utas or Splash 12. I vaguely remember seeing on some gun selling website, which had the same length of barrel as this of 20 inches. Okay, moving on for Helm, which I can tell right now it's the pretty much the modern futuristic version of this one I remember, which is the Finnish Lahti 30L39. Probably a World War I weapon, just since those were really the type of systems that had the magazine on top of the barrel, and I think it's a gravity fed. I don't know why, still don't know why exactly like magazines back then had to be put on top. It's said that because you're usually shooting from trenches, right? You wanna expose as little use as possible. If you put the magazine on top, then when you fire, right, then the magazine's not gonna be bottom, and you can have a lower profile. But you really have to ask the people who designed these weapons back then to get the exact details. I'm pretty sure here. Okay, moving on to Maxwell. I'm not even gonna try. I'm probably anti-material ray-gun judging by their battery and the small but large magazine here. And for another bazooka ollie, Uni, aka the best girl and the one who I oath first currently. She uses a manpad bazooka since the missile is hidden and clearly has this like maybe like thermal or night vision sight or like laser guided thing. It was like one axis sight, and you can see like there was a hole, right? It was one is the sight, and then one is a laser to guide the missile. Let me know down in the chat what type of bazooka exactly do you think it is. All right, now for Liter. From what I could tell, it's a mini Uzi because it has a distinctive and the rare grip feed with a folded skeleton stock and a square sharp receiver. Kind of weird to be that although you don't really know what nationality these girls are originally from. Some have like a mix of Russian, American. It just sort of seems like there's no doctrine of like it has to be this characters that are clearly from this region. Luckily, they have to be used only these weapon family of systems, only AKs or only ARs. They sort of give them whatever here from wherever country here. But I digress. Next is a gun I wish would never exist because you damn well know what happened when artists and weapons mix. Also, unless she's got ultimate sign that, there's no way she's getting any side picture. And I can clearly declare this is a fictional weapon. Interesting proposition though. To combine something you can play music on and fire a gun from, but I feel that really messed one or another up somehow. And now with her, eyes up, Guardian. This girl, I've never seen this type of launcher. And I'm pretty sure this is a fictional weapon. But it makes an abnormally large explosion for the type of cartridge it seems to be carrying here, and that she can just fit in with one hand here. And for Drake, this gun looks to be a parody of another side-loading shotgun I know, which is the Henry family, or more specifically, I guess, the .410 that I could find based on its resemblance and barrel length, sort of. Or not, was it barrel? No, I think it was based off the look of how she looked. I think that was the only one that I saw had the feet that far in front. Okay, now for Crow, who is also a dual-wielding SMG character. It looks like the Spectre HCS, judging what I could find, based off the straight magazine and the upper iron sights here. Again, another sort of abstract weapon, so can't really say those ones for sure here. And for Pepper, whenever I see her doing muscle pulls, I can't help but think of Bateman from America's Psycho in that scene. It really paints her in a weird way mentally, if you know what I mean. when he did it. Anyway, her weapon looks like the Utas with the weird reload where it's always 2 bullets, no matter how many shots fly. More futuristic mumbo jumbo at play here, probably. Another character I want now but don't have is Adme, and her weapon appears to be a variation of the A91M, but it's a launcher and without the bullets, but also somehow only keeping the magazine here, so it's a little confusing. It's another weapon whose design I don't quite understand. And NIKKE Pinol, for her it kind of looks like an exaggerated DTMDR, but maybe just give it some extra plastic stuff for ergonomability or something like that. I don't know any weapon that looks exactly like that. Alright, now, the sugar. Also, something's been bothering me. All these shotguns, with the exception of some naturally, have their feet so far in front. Like, do you not realize that the farther the feet is in the front, the more complicated the mechanisms in between have to be, and the less explosive force you get, so it's not really a worthwhile trade-off. I can't really imagine they'll be that much more comfortable in comparison either. Not on top of the fact these shotguns are always the hardest. It's the pump action, all the plastic furniture or metal furniture it could be now. Makes it easier to mix them up. I think based off the top slots, you'll see like a SDS pumps 12 gauge based on I could find it also. Looking around here. Okay. Now for my spirit animal, the neat Nike Exia. She, based on I could find, looks like it has a Timna. Because it seems to be a Ruger 7.62 with its AR-15 like upper receiver and outward directed magazine on a long customized barrel, and she appears in some sort of sighting assistance scope on that. So if I were a betting man, I would say that's a thermal scope there. Ain't she cheerful? Now we come to one of the more popular Nikes. With art that's questionably doesn't match her personality. The lovable brain damage Alice. What distinctly seems to be an MRAD due to the magazine type directly behind the trigger and the shell of magwell. So that's sort of appearance traits I look for as I check out what it could possibly be, like the exact model here. This one's easy though. For Freema, it is immediately recognizable as the VSS Venturas due to her sniper rifle designation and the wooden stock and a distinctive mag. Now, there are 2 weapons that look exactly the same, like the Venturas and then I think it's the AS Val is the other name, but obviously since again sniper rifle, that's the only one that looks like that. Oh yeah, of course, also the integrated suppressor here. Very easy to tell traits. And of course the ones I can just tell you off the top of my head here. Okay, now we have Mary with one of the more confusingly animated style reading I've never seen in a shotgun, which is some sort of lever action breakaway magazine. This weapon does exist and be very impractical of nature of lever actions. Being impractical in combat and because of a slow fire rate and a very complicated hinge snap off design, which seems to be kind of prone to failure. Okay, now for Milk. Her rifle looks very similar to a Barrett. So I did some thinking and some searching, realized it's actually an AXMC 338 Blackout to the staircase like lower receiver, the rails, and the muzzle brake. Can very much tell the similarity though. And for Yolha. Much as I loved her Bond 7 episode, her weapon is fantasy as some sort of techno-inspired sniper-like with a magazine that, if you look at it, it's relatively, seems to be larger or the same size as her head here. Like, the size of that thing makes me feel like quite a pain having to carry that sort of ammo around here. Okay, now Ludmilla, Alice's leader slash companion here. This one, I remember the name off the top of my head, but it doesn't look exactly like this. It's the AR-57 without any sights and a comically large revolving chamber. Like I'm pretty sure maybe accurate range or sighting of anything with that thing blocking the way. How I could tell was because the magazine, it's very iconic for the P90. And again, that's the only one I know that has a sort of magazine. And I'm aware of an AR-15 like with that sort of caliber. So yeah, that's how I started connecting the dots there. And then naturally, it's because gunsmiths aren't very creative with the naming, obviously just put the two together: 5.7 and AR armor light. But again, NIKKE, maybe like integrated optical system magic or what have you. Now for Rupee, hers appears to be M4, the black extension over the stock, which is actually supposed to be the buffer tube. I could kind of confuse it for the 416 for a second. I thought it was a possibility. Then I remember that the 416 has a larger spring, whereas M4 is like a quarter of that size. So that little black nub you saw over could be that little thing they needed just for the spring to be able to work. Oh crap. Like an out here? There we go. Let's just go over Yan quickly. Nothing. Those legs so. And for Dola, also not real, the biggest giveaway being like the virtual iron sights and the overall future techno design. Moving on to what's the name again? I just looked at the novel with the what seems to be the PP2000, based on how small the barrel is, and especially I'm not aware of any PP series with that sort of thing. The only reason I'm really aware of this is because I see it in Tarkov. That's the only one I know of that has the integrated magazine, and that sort of size. Well, I tell some sort of PP something. I don't know what I know was the PP91, and I did a little searching, and the closest one it could resemble was the PP2000. The little triangle front grip though, I don't think comes factory stock. So that's something she customized, or she got customized of her own accord here. For Folk Wang, doesn't exist and won't work due to not having a charging handle, despite being a mag fed. Like I don't understand how the barrel gets into the thing unless they have some sort of doctrine where they always have to keep one in the barrel before they unload and reload here. For Aria as well, doesn't exist and not practical, and of course whatever is going on top of that barrel. For Noise, you know the drill, the same though. With that type of loading for magazine, does sort of exist in the PP series here. But otherwise, I'm not aware of any gun with that sort of shape and appearance. And second last, but first in her dynamicness, Its volume reading appears to be a MSMC due to its squareness, spacing between trigger SMG destination, the foreground and curve make. I just sort of looked at all the SMG fantasies and this is the closest resemblance I could find. You should probably know though with how iconic her character has become in relation to this game. And interestingly, we're the only pilgrim that actually uses a conventional human-looking rifle with a revolver cannon type. But it doesn't matter. It's also hosted in a way that I can't for life figure out how it operates. She appears to use an LR300, which is like an AR. It doesn't need a buffer tube and spring, so you're able to use that so it doesn't need the adjustable stock because it has its own little mechanism here to get the bolt the rack back and load the next round. Okay, and then the rest are just gonna be the other pilgrims, and they also have like fantastical elements. We'll do a little lightning round here. Yeah, what? And yeah, you can sort of see. But it doesn't really on her. Do I even need to say anything? Also want. Need desperately both the weeb factor and well the fact that she apparently is incredibly strong here, and yeah, that her I have already after countless rerolls. Mummy, her Bond episode is quite touching, but right now I'm only trying to do the ones that have the fun elements. And Masugaki Daisuki. And that's all for the SSRs. That was fun. I hope we could get to do more TAC-OP characters in the future with actual futuristic guns that exist already. Like my favorite, the G11 or the FNs. Let me know down in the cesspool, that's sure they're going to be chat, what the UFWs are. And if you want more, then pull the Cold War radiation measurement, the thumbs up button. And imagine the red subscribe button as Caesar bent down your hand as you let the hand fly. Well, I guess, and the only thing. Look, to be honest, not much of anything is of interest to me, discarding their physical features first and intelligence second. As long as the woohoo is free and not getting any SSDs, I could care less about a female. It's so annoying having to try to read them and figure out how to get them to care about you. Like, if we get something like this, it's just a whole day of fun with fun tag doujin rules that I had to sign a contract for, I would happily do it. It was just like fill the terms of the day and option to renew or terminate the agreement with any girls that happen to realize perhaps that you're better than you look based on appearance and wealth and success and general motivation. Much more down for this type of world instead the one that the meatbag has, which just has an annoying peacocking culture. Physically attractive, gab gifted, or healthy, yada yada. What'd I do if I ever managed to be allowed into female personal quarters? Well, if I was willingly allowed in, I would probably carry some passion flower and Xanax and slip into the obligatory shared guest refreshments. No, unfortunately, chloroform alone is not effective at knocking out females. It's more of a sedative, so unless you're operating them as well, Mr. Jack, you need to mix it with some additional stuff like maybe alcohol or gasoline so the fumes can really get them dizzy and achieve a more effective result. Hypothetically, of course.